Welcome back to another episode of Imperfect Parenting. I am Seth. I'm here. It's the top of the month, apparently.
Come on. It means Seth's back.
That means Seth's back.
But this is different.
This is not your typical episode.
Brittney should tell us what's going on here.
Brittney, tell us.
Well, I just love that we did that. We are at my book launch conference.
Come on.
That's what's happening.
No.
They're in the
There they
room.
are.
No.
This is
Book launch movement.
That
We're
noise
at the
is real
book
people.
launch
we are in front of the
movement
live
gathering.
audience.
The first of its kind.
Uh-huh.
Ready to take over the world
Come into a
and
city near
bring
you.
restoration
Or
to
come to the
families.
city.
This
Yeah.
is welcome to the show, guys.
Welcome to the show.
So, a live audience. We normally do this in one take, so that's good.
Yeah,
That's
we got
really
it.
good. Mm-hmm.
If we mess up, we can edit it out.
Yeah,
guess.
just everyone be quiet.
Yeah.
Just kidding. So we're going to do what we always do.
Always.
Always, because it's a must with our podcast.
Yeah, we like to start every episode with memes. Brittney and I have been sending each other memes for many years.
Mm-hmm.
Ben, we have now a little group on Instagram that we just put our memes in, and
Some of them will never, ever make it
some
out
of
of that
them
group.
will
just
never
so you know.
go
Welcome.
Anywhere other than the group.
go public.
But they're funny. But you'll never see them. But we do have some ones that we can share.
Yeah,
So should we throw up the first one?
let's do the first one.
I think I actually shared this one the other day because I thought it was so funny.
I shared it after you shared it too. So,
So we're going to share it with all of you again.
oh look, it's appeared right behind us
I
on
know.
the screen.
This is different.
We don't normally have that.
No, we
You
don't.
wanna read it?
We don't normally have
No, you
people
got it.
watching
All right.
us either.
All right.
You could have everyone read it together.
We could.
No,
Let's
we need to read it so it's clearer.
Brittney said no. So
No.
moving on.
Brittany's in charge.
The adult version of head, shoulders, knees, and toes, everyone knows that song, don't sing it, is wallet, glasses, keys, and phone.
There
That
we
just
go.
feels so right. At least that's my life. Brittney?
And knife. You need to add knife.
and
Wallet,
knife.
glasses,
That doesn't rhyme.
keys, and phone. Yeah, I don't have glasses, so mine would be knife, but not when I come to California. When I fly to California, I don't bring my knife because I lost it once.
I'm glad you learned.
I know I did.
Yeah.
So we do the next one?
Yeah.
As soon as you say, my child would never, here they come, nevering like they nevered before.
Never.
Yeah, that's true.
I think my favorite never that I ever heard came from a friend of ours a long time ago before they had kids. We had kids first. And it was just Delaney. And she probably was eating, I think we were camping. We did youth camp. So we're at camp, and I don't know if anyone's ever taken a toddler camping.
Not recommended.
No, not if you can avoid it. But and then expect them to be clean.
Yeah.
That's definitely not going to happen. So our toddler's walking around, and anytime, the hot dog falls off the plate into the dirt, what
Meltdown.
happens? They eat it.
Oh,
So it's now a dirty hot dog. And then they, for whatever reason, they always have a snotty nose. I don't know why kids always have a snotty nose.
When camping? Or in general?
Or just in
Well,
general.
period.
Always.
Yeah, always.
Just always. So snot, dirt caked, half hot dog hanging, that's what's happening
Oh,
on
yes.
this child.
I know where you're going now.
And
that's when you throw them in the lake.
yeah, that's
and
totally
grab
what
'em
well,
back
too. I
out
don't
real
know.
fast.
We need some floaties on. So our friend says, I just want you to know that when I have kids, they're never going to have a messy face like that.
And guess what God did?
Oh, yeah.
Fast forward.
Yeah.
We were just at the beach with them last week.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Guess what happened to their kids? They were
Covered.
dirty.
Dirty.
They were
super dirty.
covered.
More dirty
covered.
than the average child.
Sand
God
in
did.
ears
Yeah.
surrounding the nostrils. And I just looked at him thinking, I would love to have I told you so moment right here.
But I won't.
I won't. But that's the thing, is that I will never let my child ever have an iPad. My child will never say stupid
Or no.
or no. They will never know that word.
What about I will never give my child that?
Yeah.
Not my child will never, but I will never. Then
Yeah.
you end up nevering like never before.
Never say never.
Yeah.
Never.
Yeah.
Justin
Yeah.
Bieber.
Well, that's real. So those are good ones.
Yeah, so this is fun. Here's what we're doing. We have 2 episodes that we're going to film and release here at the Movement Gathering. The first one, we'd like to just talk a little bit about some of the themes that we've been noticing, talk through some of the things that people have been saying. If you are not here with us live and you're listening or watching later, we're going to be sharing some stuff that will definitely make you want to purchase the Imperfect Parenting recordings because you weren't here. There should be 1,000 people in the room today. We have 100 and some that came and are awesome. And
So
everyone
they get
else,
gold star stickers.
everyone else is going to be sad that they missed it, and they're going to want to come next time
That's true.
and buy the recordings.
Yeah.
So that's what we're going to do for the first one. Second one, we're just going to answer questions. People have been sending in questions throughout the day, today and yesterday, and so we're going to
Have a
talk
good
through some of
conversation.
them. Yeah.
Yesterday was super fun.
Yep.
I mean, not everybody was here yesterday, but the theme has kind of continued. So it's been interesting. Just what the Lord's heart is for family. It feels that there's just something that He's trying to highlight and breathe on, and so we just, I love when a plan comes together. We all know it, but I really love it, especially when it was my plan.
Your plan.
Like, Jesus, thank you. I was
Well
in my
done,
closet
Brittney.
this morning going, God, I love you, because I just feel like it's all good. It's been great.
It has been great, hasn't it? What do you guys think? Has it been awesome? Brittney and I used to do these for kids a long time ago. Brittney was events coordinator, so she would put this stuff together for children's pastors or for children. And so you're good at this, but this is the first one for you.
I know.
And it's kind of awesome.
It's
We
super
like it.
awesome.
I think everybody likes it.
Yeah. Thanks.
Yeah. So, Ben,
So, yeah.
you have noticed a theme
I think we all
throughout
have.
the couple days. What would you say is one of the themes?
So in this 2-day event, and we've had people like Danny Silk speaking here, and Rochelle Ditmore
Whoa.
from
Yeah.
City of Refuge in Sacramento,
Angie
Dave Hill
Taylor.
from Bethel, Angie
Dave
Taylor
Hill.
from Val. I mean, what a lineup, Brittany.
Jason and Lauren Valish.
We have some
Yeah.
great friends. Jason, Lauren, Val.
Seth Dahl spoke.
Seth Dahl. He was really good, guys.
I
He
was leaving him
good.
out. Gonna get to that. We have Sherry Silk coming up pretty soon here.
Yeah.
that's
And
a
then Ben.
surprise.
Ben is going to speak, and then Brittany's
So
closing
fun.
it out.
Yeah.
But there's been this theme, and it's a little bit different. We've heard it said in different ways. But what I've been noticing is light versus darkness is a real thing. And when we go outside, there's this darkness thing that's going on. And it's not new, if you can't tell. It's not this new concept. It's been going on for a long time. But light always wins. But there's this thing that I keep hearing is how do we actually create light in the family? What does it look like to push darkness out of the home practically? Like there's actually decisions we can make, there's words we use, there's ways that we show up that actually chases away the darkness and increases the light. And that's the theme I'm hearing.
Yeah. I think this morning was really powerful when Danny was talking about we've all inherited or received something from our families, what we've been taught, the default that you mentioned yesterday, default parenting styles versus the one that we want that God gives us. And I think one of the things Danny said so powerfully was like, we're not trying to not do what they did. We're doing what we see him doing. And that's, to me, that's this concept of like, a lot of times parents, people, Christians are trying to stop the darkness, turn off the darkness, get rid of the darkness, curse the darkness.
Yep.
You know, when we were in children's ministry, we had the darkness box. We're like, man, this thing is so full of darkness. The darkness is inhabiting the box. Open the box and see how dark it is. And as soon as you open it, there's no darkness because the light got in.
So good.
Because as soon as you open the box with the darkness, it turns into light. And sometimes I think that's what Danny was getting to, is like, we're always trying to get rid of the darkness rather than just like flip the light switch
the
on.
box.
Absolutely.
Like turn the light on and the darkness goes away. It reminds me of the story in, I think it's Numbers, where the serpents all come out and they're biting everybody and people are dropping dead, poisons infecting them, and they're like literally dying, and they're like, help Moses, and Moses is like, help God, and God's like, make a bronze serpent, put it on the pole, hold it up so that he who turns to it will live, something like that. And I think it's this beautiful picture of repentance, that you're not trying to just dodge your serpents. You're not trying to kick the serpents. I mean, you want to trample them, of course, but most people are trying to spin in circles and dodge and kick and avoid serpents rather than just turn and realize the serpent's on the pole. And I think that's what we're going for, is turning towards what God has done about this, turning towards what God is doing in our lives, what God is saying for us, and turning to Him, you automatically turn from, and the venom loses its power, and the death stops when we turn towards Him. That's when we turn the light on, when we do what we see Him doing, not trying to avoid what they did, what we've done in the past, turning towards Him. Feels like light, turning on the light.
Totally. And it's about equipping our kids for them to learn and discover how much of a weapon they are and how powerful they are, instead of teaching them to be afraid. Because if we teach them to be afraid of darkness always, then they are constantly looking over their shoulder instead of going, oh no, I know what to do. In this moment, I know how to chase away the fear. I know how to quiet the voice of the enemy. I know how to take ownership of this moment. You know, long time ago when Delaney was a little, my mom tells a story about her when they were watching The Lion King. And I showed a clip about Mufasa, and I was like, doesn't everyone want Mufasa as their dad, right? Yeah, he's a great.
That clip was very powerful.
It's a great clip.
Too bad for all the people who weren't here.
It's
have to
a
buy the
great
recording.
Clip. It was a great clip. It's talking about being an engaged parent, and that's who we want to be. We want to be like Mufasa. But in The Lion King, there's that scene where Scar brings Simba into the canyon, and he's really tricking him into this moment. And then the wildebeest come and down, and they create this stampede, and they're coming towards Simba. So there's this fear, and this is Scar's totally being not a nice uncle. He's a monkey's uncle. Let's call him that. He's a booger. But I remember my mom retells a story about how Delaney's watching this, and she can feel the wrong in this moment. And instead of being scared for Simba and being overwhelmed by the death and everything, she turns to my mom and says, Mimi, if I was there, if that was me, I would stand up and say, you stop in the name of Jesus. That's it. I mean, that's what you want to raise up, is this confidence in our kids that say, I know what I carry. Because that world of darkness, it's real. It's out there. But if we give it all this attention, we minimize who our kids are in this world and their calling and assignment. And that's not what I'm building. I don't know about you, but in my house, I've got some mighty little people.
We got a word recently at Loving on Purpose. And it was essentially just reminding us that we're on the offense. We're on the offense, and it can often feel like we're on the defense for lots of different reasons, but we are on the winning team.
We are.
And in Ephesians 5, verse 8, it says, for once we were darkness, and then God sent His Son, and something shifted. But now you are light in the Lord. Walk as children of light. And it just, I think what Jesus did in the sacrifice He made, is it, and it's in the Bible, so obviously this is what He did. I said I think. What Jesus did is he restored connection. I think this is how we push away darkness, is we close that gap with our kids, in our marriage, in our homes. We close the gap of disconnection, and we connect to the hearts of our children, because this is the place where everything changes. I think the thing I've just learned more and more over the last couple of years is the only place an opportunity of influence comes in this right here.
Yeah.
And every parent wants to influence their child, but it's near impossible. I mean, you are influencing your child. You just don't know which direction if you're not paying attention. But the heart-to-heart influence we're after only happens through that connection, which is actually pushing out the very thing that we don't want in a home.
It's good. I was just thinking about, the verse that says, God was in Christ reconciling the world back to Himself. That's the scripture for what you're saying, to bring Him back, bring His lost kids back.
Yeah. So how do we practically build up the confidence of who our kids are, so that we don't, because I mean, the crazy and the darkness feels really loud. Probably because there's social media. That's why it feels really loud. It's always been there. All the crazy has been there. But they have access to it in different ways. It's louder than it's ever been. So how do we practically start to war and not partner with fear and darkness, but apply the chasing after their identity, equipping them with courage. How do we instill that into our kids?
I think one way, we have talked about this several times on the podcast before, probably, but I think one thing as parents that we do is recognizing the darkness is trying to influence as well. Not just influence, the darkness is attempting to control. And they are more and more going towards the children for so long. I mean, as a children's pastor, we spend a lot of time going like, hey, everyone else knows this. Like, if you want to change things, you need to go after the kids. Everyone else knows this except the church. And so we spent many years fighting, like, we're actually doing ministry, not babysitting, but everyone else understands the younger you get them, the more you have the influence or the control. And so I think as parents, one of the ways we fight against that is to not shield fully, but to be the first people to discuss this stuff and give clear definition to the things that are going on. So I think one of the things that's wise as us as parents is that the areas that we see darkness attempting to infiltrate, attempting to come in and control us, go, that's the very thing I need to be talking about. Yeah. I need to make sure I'm talking about that before they talk about that, so that my kids understand my definition, God's definition, and they don't define it based on what they're saying. They define it based on what I'm saying. It's called the law of first mention. Whoever talks first, that's what kids believe is true, whether or not it's a lie or it's true. If you tell your kids something and you're the first one to say it, they believe that to be true.
Yep.
Period. And so now all other information that comes at them has to fight against what they believe to be true. So if you're not the first one to talk, and social media talks or the school talks or somebody else talks, and they give that definition of this is what this is, and then you come with different information, now you're fighting up against what they believe to be true, even though you know it's not true. So the first one to talk, I think, is really important. I think I have interesting, maybe not interesting, strong opinions about vaccinations, but I do think the concept of vaccination is absolutely genius. Let's introduce a little bit of a sickness so your immune system rises up and fights it, and then now your immune system knows what it's doing. Now your immune system's like, I fought that. And I think having those conversations, like whatever it's about. Today we talked about gender. Today we talked about indoctrination. Today we talked about abortion. Today we talked about
all sorts of things.
Sorts of things. And we talked about schools, Angie and Valor and the school that's like, we want parents to talk about these things. We want to, all of it. Like, when parents talk about the darkness and define it for our kids, and we're proactive, we're not reactive, we're going, thanks for telling us what to talk about, thanks for telling us what to define, thanks for telling us what to go after. We do that, and we introduce enough of the problem for the internal immune system to rise up inside our kids and go, got you, now I know how to address this, rather than we send them out there without any immune system. Like the more you sterilize your world, the more the immune system doesn't develop. So you actually want your kids introduced to little bits of, not tons of toxins. You don't want to destroy your kids, but you want to introduce enough, like let them eat dirt, let them play in the dirt, let them get the hot dog in the dirt, put it in their mouth. Like that's actually good for them because their immune system rises up. Then when you send them out there, they're not getting bombarded so hard because you've already raised up that immune system inside them.
The thing I started thinking about when you asked that question as well, and I'm probably going to ruin this story, but Brandon Lake, worship leader, if you ever listen to this, I'm sorry ahead of time, but he has this song where he tells a story, and his I think he actually says the age in the story. It's a very unique song. I think it's called Talking to Jesus, and his son, I think he's 15 years old or something, and he walks in the room, and he catches his dad worshiping and praying. He says, "Dad, I'm really sorry. I'll come back." And he says, "This is the perfect time, son. This is the perfect time for you to be here because I want you to," keep hitting my face on the mic, I want you to experience me talking to Jesus because this is the foundation we're laying. And it's both end. It's the first mention. It's the little bit of experience and toxin, like you said. But it's also, this is how I live my life because I can talk about it all I want. But if I'm doing it, you don't believe me. And it's just such a great picture, that song. he's just describing this is how he lived my life. And he talks about his grandmother and his mother taught him how to speak to Jesus, how to let Jesus into his world, and now he's doing it for his son. It's this generational foundation stone that this is what we do.
Now, I love the, inviting your kids into the conversation and giving them a little bit of ammunition. And I think, Lincoln, not too long ago, we were driving somewhere and he saw this pride flag and he got really angry. And he goes, I hate that flag. And I was like, okay, well, those are some strong words, son. Let's talk about it. Jesus says we shouldn't hate people and like what's going on, because, he's 11, he's 10 or 9 at the time. And, he's a little justice meter. He's so timid and sweet and tender, but he has a core of that is wrong. And I love it. But I said, what's going on? And he goes, they stole it from God. Oh, I said, son, they can't steal it from God.
That's awesome.
I said, you know what you should do? When you see that flag, instead of being filled with anger, remember what those colors mean. The promise of God. And so instead of partnering with fear or anger of this world, you lean into remembering the truth. I said, and everybody that uses that flag in this way, they need that promise more than anyone. And so being able to have those conversations where you bring them into, here's a different way of looking at this. Here's a different way of having a weapon instead of letting them react and they're like, quoting the scriptures, you must love your neighbor, and, the sinner and all that's all true. But help them feel powerful in it. Because again, as they grow up, they're not, it's kind of black and white. That's how kids are. So not being afraid of honest conversations and
awesome.
let them feel powerful in the moment is what I think we need to be doing. Which we've talked a lot about that, like having good conversations and asking hard questions, which is really hard for parents.
Lots of questions.
You have to ask questions.
Yep.
Stop talking. Ask a question. Put a sock in it.
Yep.
We learned about that today in the Imperfect Parenting Movement Gathering.
Here's our infomercial for you.
Angie said it. She said it loud and clear. If you weren't here for it, you need to
Bummer for
buy
you.
Get
the
the recording.
recordings and listen. I'll say it again and again. I think
true.
there needs to be many more people here paying attention to this.
Show me you're a good friend without telling me you're a good friend.
Exactly.
This is
That's
Seth.
true. That's what's
Exactly.
happening.
That's awesome.
Okay, well, we are going to jump into questions, right?
And we need to wrap this episode
Yeah, this is
up.
episode 1.
Episode 1.
Live and in the room.
Thanks so much for joining us,
Yes.
everyone, here
Yep.
on the Imperfect Parenting Podcast. I don't know how cheesy that felt, but it did feel cheesy, but it's great.
I love it.
We're
It's
just
great.
inviting you into the studio.